Two Hip Chicks. Boom.
Boom.
We're here. Hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming in. Trickling in. TC and I have just gotten ourselves together here, and we've been busy doing snowy day things. At least for me, anyway.
Yeah, we will be tonight. Snow's hitting here tonight.
You getting it tonight? We've gotten over a foot of snow.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so I'm Dawn from Two Hip Chicks, and this guy over here is...
I'm TC from TKR VideoCentral. Hi.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Tonight's show is something that was actually requested by a few people or talked about by a few people, and we wanted to kind of go through record grading is what the topic is. I pinned a comment up in the chat, which is, hey, sweetie, Mary's here. Pinned a comment up in the chat, which is the link that actually TC sent me for the Goldmine grading system. And I kind of follow that. It's kind of a thing. Hey, DC, welcome, hon. I have a variation on that I use in my eBay listings. And when I'm listing things on eBay, or when I'm going through and listing them in other platforms, I will use a modified version of that. You guys can go ahead and click the link if you want to read it. But basically, what it says is that, let me pull up my document here. So yeah, it goes from mint, which is like right off the presses, basically, right, TC?
Right, pretty much.
All the way down to poor or fair, which I rarely, unless it's some really hard to find, super rare piece of vinyl, would I ever sell anything that's poor or fair. And I very rarely do a good. It's got to be a good plus, because unless it's just a placeholder. I mean, really.
Right. That's basically all the really lower grade ones are good for, is especially if you can get a picture sleeve with it. If the record's not in terrible shape, but you have a decent sleeve, then you're just looking for the record.
Yep.
Or vice versa.
Exactly. So, Don, hey, Don. Oh my God. 30 below wind chill. Wow. Holy crap, that's cold.
You're in Metro Chicago, right, Don?
I am a bit
not you, Don. This Don.
This Don, different Don?
Our Don in the chat there.
Oh, okay, that Don, yeah. Exactly.
I know he's up there somewhere. So.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. The weather has just been absolutely nuts. And so Mary's been out trying to shovel, but it's colder than all crack out too, for sure. So I'm sorry if you guys are suffering from the great weather that is 2024 now. Yeah, Rockford. Yeah, you're getting it.
Yeah,
we're getting lake effect stuff though, so I know that's something that you wouldn't get over on the other side, but still you might. It's crazy. So anyway, we haven't left the house in 2 days. So I feel you there, buddy. I feel you. So yeah, great grading, record grading. I've got some examples here. I didn't set it up so I was going to set up the turntable and show you the camera and stuff, but it didn't look like it was that clear. I'll try to use this camera to give you an idea. There's ways to do this. People visually grade, and a lot of times record stores, not collectors per se, but retailers or mom and pop places, they'll visually grade things. So you can visually grade a record. And what they're looking for is condition on the vinyl itself. And I don't know if you can see this one. It's a little hazy. You can see some wear on the on the actual grooves as well. And then of course the condition, there's also condition issues with the label, wear on the label, writing on the label, stickers on the label. If you're going to sell vinyl, you're going to want to make sure you note everything, every flaw. If it's got chips on the edges, this one doesn't, but you know, sometimes they will. You want to make sure that you're listing every single condition issue possible. And then you can visually grade it if you want, but we prefer to play grade records just because I want to make sure that they sound the quality that they are. And although visual grading will give you quite a bit of accuracy, it isn't always perfect.
As I read once, I think it was also Goldmine, visual grading is for sleeves. Play grading should be for records. If the grades are on the Goldmine standard list, it means you should have listened to the record, you should have played the record, you should have graded it that way. Sleeves are, of course, you can't play them, so you're doing it visually.
But for people who go through a lot of records, secondhand retailers, mom and pop places, they will often just visually grade it. So they'd look at this and go, okay, that's a VG, probably because of the scuffs. There's a little wear on it, and they're probably right. This one actually does play grade out to a VG. So let me run those by what my very abbreviated Goldmine is. It's my own personal Goldmine. This is, like I said, this is what I use when I list them on eBay. Condition description. I put near mint is a nearly perfect record. The record should show no obvious signs of wear. That's it. And when I'm saying that, I'm saying about play grading now, not just visual wear. VG Plus will show some signs it's been played, otherwise handled by a previous owner who took care of it. May have light pops or clicks. Very light. And not like a consistent line through the whole record where you can hear it. VG is noticeable groove wear. Light scratches, surface noise will not overpower the music, but will be more obvious than a VG Plus record. Which is, and TC can attest, this is how I grade stuff. Sometimes, and I lean towards the more critical side. I really try to.
She's a very tough grader. If she's got even the slightest inkling that it should be a good plus rather than a VG minus, then that's where she's going to go. Yeah. I don't always agree with it, but she does super great. I usually agree that she's graded it too hard,
too severely. I'm too severe. Well, that's good though. I'd rather have a person who bought something from me be pleasantly surprised than pissed off that that they feel it's. But this is, again,
that's the way to do it. That's absolutely the way to do it.
It is very perceptual. I mean, it's your perception of how it sounds too. So then G Plus can play without skipping, significant scratches, surface noise, and groove wear, but still bearable to listen to. You can still handle listening to it without freaking out about it. And then we get into G, also plays without skipping. None of these should skip. Significant scratches, surface noise, and groove wear, but sound quality is more heavily impacted. And again, these can be, like I said, perceptual. Everybody has their own thing. And then P is for poor, which is the record is cracked, badly warped, or won't play without skipping or repeats. So, but I rarely ever
do not sell a poor record. I mean, unless it's a super rare or you do have a picture sleeve coming with it. And you're actually selling the sleeve rather than the record. Otherwise, poor is not something you should be selling.
No, not really. And it's torturous to listen to, so I try not to.
That it is, yes.
But yeah, visually grading records is fine if you've got. I understand why stores do it. They have a lot of inventory. They have a lot of records they have to go through. But it's not always the best way to grade a record. And if you can play grade them, please play grade them because people will respect you for that. Sony Hunter in the UK. Obscure so is not the most important thing for me. Yeah. Understandable. If you're looking for something that's just hard to find. If it's just hard to find and nobody's got it and you've got a G condition or worse, you're going to probably put it up and let people try to find it. They want it for, they want to have a copy of it. This one, and again, visually grading the label, not a lot of wear on this, but there is that lovely N for no nonsense. I don't know why And then in the back, usually on a 45, the A side will have less wear than the B side because the B side is the side they dropped it on, onto other records usually as well.
Yeah.
It can, of course, have as much or even amounts or sometimes even more wear on the A side if it was under the stack or whatever. But because remember, 45s are designed to have this raised up higher than the grooves themselves. So this would take the brunt of an impact of some kind, or if they stack the records to play them on top of each other. So this would hold the weight of the record, and this is where the wear would occur rather than on the edge or the grooves of the record.
Something else with 45s is some labels, not all of them, have a raised ridge between the label and the dead wax. That raised ridge raises it up ever so slightly and prevents wear as much as possible on the label as well.
Yeah, I mean, usually because of that design, if a heavy needle's used or it lands funny, you will see more edge wear on 45s than you will see in the inner grooves.
Yep.
It's just the way they work, just the nature of the beast, for sure. So yeah, we go through a lot of these.
Yes, we do.
I was trying to find some really crappy looking ones. But like I said, sometimes older records, especially. And I don't know how many of you people are into 45s or not. Older records will look horrible sometimes. And let me see if I can get a good beat on this one. Probably not. This one doesn't look as bad on camera as it does in person. They'll look worse than they sound. And I don't know if that's because of the way they were pressed or the quality of the vinyl. Where newer records, sometimes they look great, but they sound like crap. And I don't understand that. That's why play grading is very important.
It is. Mary wants to know what the dead wax is. Dead wax is that area of wax between the end of the song and the label. Yep. This is where the all the information. I mean, if you're looking, I've been a collector for 50 years. I mean, I've been collecting since I was under 10, and I really didn't pay attention to any of the codes and stuff until I joined the vinyl community. Now I'm obsessed with them. It's like it has your serial number. It usually has a marking indicating the pressing plant. It usually has some kind of a notation. Sometimes you will see the name Wally scribed on several of them when Wally, I've forgotten his last name, was the guy who mastered it. You will see other master sound, master phonics, other words in there, but it's all a clue as to where, how, and why it was manufactured and the way it was done. And it's all in that little tiny strip of wax between the end of the song and the beginning of the label.
Yep, right there. So yeah, and that's what they call the dead wax. And there's different codes. It's it might be the record pressing. It might be initials, like he says. It might be the technician's name or whatever. But there's usually something in that area. If you look close at those records, there's something on this one. Pardon me. All right. So yeah, that's what it is. That's what dead wax is. So,
now when you because you grade so much for what you sell. For Whatnot and all those other things that you do on Johnny's auctions and so on. It should, I don't know whether it should or not, it just should be a part of an overall grade, but you do sell, of course, all of these are secondhand. So you sometimes have stickers, you sometimes have writing. Does that affect the way you grade also?
Yeah. I mean, I will downgrade if something has like an obnoxious amount of, say it's a VG plus record, but it's got an obnoxious amount of, I don't know, wear on the label or whatever, or the edge condition is horrible. I will downgrade for that, even though it may come out like a VG plus sound. If it's got some obvious issue that would make somebody think, ugh, I'll downgrade for visual. Yeah, I will definitely. See, like this one is G plus for sure, and it might even be G. I haven't heard it yet, but Mary listened to this one. It looks like somebody went all over it with a crayon.
Mary, yes, yes. One of the things is the location of the pressing plant. Frequently, you'll see an I on a in the dead wax. I usually indicates Indianapolis. O is Jacksonville, a star, Los Angeles, and so on and so forth, depending on which plant was used. Now, of course, today, unlike the heyday of 45s, there are only, I think, 8 full-time record
Wow.
plants in America left, down from 70 or 80 in the heyday of vinyl. A lot of the stuff being pressed today is being pressed out of the country, primarily the Czech Republic and UK.
Where they kept all their record presses, probably. Because I know a lot of them, after the decline of vinyl, they just trashed. Yep. They didn't save them. They didn't do anything. And so you're kind of at the mercy now of some out-of-the-states presses.
Something else that you should take into grading, and it's not going to affect 45s as well as it will albums.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes on the album, you'll see it on the label occasionally, but it's more often on the jacket. If you look on the spine sometimes, or in the very lower, usually right corner, and see CRC as part of the back of it.
It's a Columbia Record Club.
That's right. It came from Columbia Records, Columbia House. And there's RCAs are usually more fuller stamp on the back, the RCA Record Club. Some people actually think those are worth more money, that they were better sounding than regular pressings. I really haven't noticed over the years, and I have a ton of them. So,
well, DC does a pressing location affect the value? It can. If there were very few pressed at that specific location. It's like anything. The market will dictate what the value of something is. So, hopefully.
Laura, they're looking for 90% of the people in the U.S. and Canada, including me.
That's true. They're looking. They'll find you. What can I say? But yeah, that's and it all depends. So that's why you kind of want to, if you're buying records to resell, and you're not just buying them to listen for your own enjoyment or to keep in your collection, you might want to check out like Discogs, where they actually will break it out by the pressing, the release, if it's a reissue or not. You look for, and then they have pictures as well of the labels and the jackets. You want to make sure it matches exactly before you try to resell it and promise it as something it's not. People get very picky about that.
Yes,
very picky about that.
Discogs is a gold mine. If you're it is a rabbit hole to end rabbit holes for record collectors, because you can find so many different pressings, different numbers. There are certain pressings that are back in the day, particularly A&M was one of them, that looks black, but if you hold it up to the light, it's actually a Coke, a root beer color.
Root beer, yeah. Root beer vinyl.
And you can see that when you look at it, it shows a little bit of light through. There's all these little things that can affect the pricing when you're they won't affect the grading, but they will affect an overall price if you find some of those out there. Just like a promo. Some promos, excuse me, some promos are manufactured with white labels. A lot of people think those are better. Excuse me. But that isn't always the case. There's a white label promo and there's a regular promo that might have a gold stamp on it, but it's probably a regular label, which means it was made after the commercial run started, whereas the white labels were done earlier, and some people think those sound better. I don't know.
Yeah.
Goldmine says no.
Goldmine says no. Yeah. But there are people who are completists, and they want the promo copy in every single solitary pressing from every every manufacturing area available. So they'll go for the imports. They'll search out every country's version of that record and try to complete their collection. And I understand that. So promos, I agree. I don't think that they sound any better or any worse than the full the full production run. So there may be differences. Now, if they change something after they put the promo out, so like either they may change the B-side, or they would re-edit the song and then send it out, a different version of it out during the mass pressing, then that I can understand that would be a reason to collect the promo on that. But
one of the most famous of those in the 80s, Richard Marx song, "Hold On to the Nights." Radio, when they got the copy, it had a final chorus rather than going up and then ending with this big orchestral flourish as it finally ended up on the album. So they had that version of that song is hard to come by. It's not included on any of Richard's albums, and it's like if you don't have the promo of it, you're not going to have that version.
Yep.
So
good reason. Good reason. For sure. So welcome everybody. I'm trying to make sure I'm caught up in the chat. Talked about Dead Wax, location. Okay, cool. And Sony Hunter's hanging out. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How important is grade when you're looking for, or when you're purchasing records, TC? What is your, like die hard fast rule? I don't buy anything lower than.
I buy everything.
Who buys everything. Now,
I practically buy everything, but I do appreciate stuff that's in better condition. But like Sony Hunter was mentioning earlier, sometimes I'd be more interested in the fact that it's hard to find or not that well known. And I would like to have that in the collection more than I would care that it's in pristine shape as opposed to VG minus,
Yeah. Yeah.
And today, with the way technology is, turntable into the computer and any audio program can clean it up. You'll get rid of the pops. You'll get rid of the scratches. You won't have the same pristine sound that vinyl has.
No,
but it's close enough for some people. Hey, Monster.
You got this, Monster. It's okay. You got any questions? You know who to talk to.
Now, when it comes to conditions and grading on shellac, which I know you've sold a few of.
Yes, I have.
That has got to be difficult.
It's a little tougher on shellac for a couple reasons. You must have, unless you're going to just visually grade it and sell it like it is. I get that. But to play grade shellac, you must have the appropriate hardware. You must have an appropriate stylus. The spacing on the grooves in those is different. The depth is different. You need a specific stylus for that. And if you don't have that stylus and you try to play it on like a Crosley Cruiser or whatever that goes to 78, it'll sound like crap. Plain and simple. You'll never be able to play grade that record because you can't get the true audio out of it. You need to have a stylus. That's the correct dimension size. And they make them. You can buy them. So if you get serious about 78s and shellac records, you should acquire that stylus for whatever turntable you have, and do it that way, because you definitely need to. Otherwise, it won't sound good at all.
Yeah.
Most shellac was pressed with a different groove configuration. They did do vinyl 78s, and they did make those. I think I've had a couple of Elvis ones that I can think of right off the top of my head. And those would play fine on a regular stylus, but with a regular stylus, they were still 78s. But yeah, the older ones, especially the blues and jazz and stuff, if you're trying to get into that market or collect in that genre, you're definitely going to want to have a stylus that plays that record the way it was meant to be played.
And a player that can handle 78s, which so many can't these days.
Yeah, I mean, you can still find them, but they're like Crosley Cruisers are the ones that come to mind, and I know they're horrible.
You can sell them that one that you have that they hang on the wall.
That's not a Crosley.
No, but it plays 78 and 16.
It's 16s, yeah, which is a format that was mostly used for dictation and audiobooks type stuff, or spoken word.
Yep.
Because it's so slow. Yeah, that one I have on the wall is, if you haven't seen it, go check the video out. It's a very interesting turntable. Yeah, but and I've got a lot of interesting comments on that turntable too, and I will be making a follow-up. But yeah, Crosley's will. They're not as bad as they've been attested to. As long as you have a decent, check the weight of the stylus and make sure it's not gonna be a problem with your records. Yeah. Get a magnetic cartridge and not a ceramic cartridge. Just things like that. But those are topics for another show.
Yeah. And stuff we've actually already covered.
Kind of. Go back and look at some of the other stuff we covered. Yeah. but you can, it's as much money as you want to put into the hobby. But if you're going to get serious about listening to your records, or if you're going to get serious about, well, even if you want to inventory your stuff, if you collect records and you're on Discogs and you want to put a grade in there, you want an accurate grade in there. Heaven forbid, if your house catches on fire and your collection goes to hell, you have a record of what you had for your insurance company and the condition it was in, so you can set a value, which is probably more appropriate than, if you're a true audiophile, it's more appropriate than just letting the insurance company say, okay, $10 per record. They may be worth a lot more than that. So that kind of thing. But yeah, you definitely want to get serious if you want to truly have a decent grade on your records and know exactly what you've got. Or if you're selling, if you're going to be selling, you want to play grade your vinyl. There's nothing more frustrating than buying something from someone who says, yeah, it looks all right. And then you get it home and it sounds like shit.
Yep. Let's talk about mint for a minute. Mint
chocolate chip? No, that's not what
mint is practically non-existent. And if you sell something as mint, you probably will regret it, because more often than not, even right out of a package, chances are good that the album is going to be slightly less than mint, so near mint plus. And yeah, I mean that's always the safest way to go. Even if you have a sealed record, I would say near mint rather than mint, just because you don't know if it's sealed, if it is in good shape, if it is not warped in some way. It's just a dangerous plateau to go on to call something mint, unless you are absolutely certain.
I look at it like a used car salesman would. That mint, this thing is mint, it's cherry, it's great. Yeah, maybe, but it's more of a sales tactic than anything. If I have a sealed record, I never call it mint, I call it sealed, because there's no way to confirm condition of what's inside that that shrink wrap. I don't know what conditions it came from. I don't know if it had issues on the inside. It might have sat in somebody's dusty old barn forever, although it looks fine. There might be dust and particles in there. That can happen. And you don't want to promise anybody mint. You can't confirm it. And rarely, if I play a record and it is super sweet, oh my God, there's no sound, there's no noise, it's perfect, I'm still going to rate that near mint, just like you said. It's not going to be mint. It's just kind of a crazy standard to go by.
Once you played it isn't mint anymore.
Yeah, true.
It's near mint. It can be taken care of. You can have a near mint album that's been played dozens of times, as long as it's been taken care of. It's still in near mint condition.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I have a hard time with mint. I really do, and people say that all the time. Pristine. Okay, I'm sure it is, but there's still. It's just, it's like promising the moon. I don't think you can necessarily, with all confidence in the world, say anything is mint. As far as vinyl goes,
I would agree. Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, we grade the heck out of stuff. Audio. Mary's getting very good at it as well. So she's been doing a lot of it when I'm gone on Fridays, doing other things. She's been doing a lot of records too. So she's getting a good hang on it. She really is. It doesn't.
She has to. You guys have to, 30,000 45s to go through.
I know, and you haven't tucked Laura into taking you over to the storage unit yet, so we still have them.
I haven't been able to make it up to Michigan, and right now, if you got all that snow, I'll stay home. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't blame you. We don't even want to go out in this stuff right now. But it's not hard to do. Once you've done it for a while, you'll get an ear for it. Okay.
Yeah, you fall into it after a month or so of doing it. You fall into knowing what it's out, the sound, the look, and everything. So
I would suggest also, if you want to start well, and you want to start with a critical ear, and you want to make sure you don't overgrade something, use headphones.
Definitely.
Those, I mean, if you've got a decent sound system and you've got, there's no preponderance of bass, or some people, it depends on your taste in music and how you like to listen to it. So, but you want to be able to hear the high ends, because that's most of where the noise comes from, is the high end of the audio spectrum. So, but headphones will help a lot, because you will hear right in your ear every pop, snap, crack, whatever.
Right.
So yeah,
I would definitely use headphones.
Mary's VG Plus. Yes, she is. She is. Yes. But yeah. So I don't know. You guys got any questions about grading, or what you? I mean, look at the Goldmine standards. I know it's kind of ambiguous, but it's in somewhat, it's everybody's perception of things is different. So,
for those of you who may not know, this is Goldmine.
Oh yeah, there you go.
This is the current issue. It was available 6 times a year. It's now 4 times a year. Their website is goldminemag.com, and they have.
On the front?
Sorry?
Is that damn Yankees on the front? Who's on the front?
No, that's UK punk rockers, the Damned.
Oh, the Damned. I was like, I couldn't read the whole thing. Yeah, there you
go. They have advertisements, they have articles, they have classifieds for people that are selling. They also have the latest releases, the latest interest of collectors, and they do frequently reprint the Goldmine price guide grading standards. And so they have price guides out there which gives you detailed instructions on that.
Yeah.
There was another magazine out there for a while called Record Collector. It ceased to exist, unfortunately, when magazines kind of started going belly up in the early 2000s. I don't know if they still have a website or not, but you can find prices and stuff on a number of different sites and apps, of which Discogs is the best known.
Yeah.
By far, I think.
And there's, besides Discogs and eBay, there are other places. You can sell albums anywhere. You can sell them on Etsy. You can sell them in a car. You can sell them wherever. So if you are interested in selling them, there are multiple platforms to sell them at. You can also, if you're picking up stuff and you don't want to sell online, but you don't necessarily want to keep it in your collection anymore, you can hit the mom and pop record stores if it's something that they're looking for. I wouldn't necessarily bring a bunch of Barry Manilow in or whatever, but there's stuff, there's records out there that they're always going to buy from people. So it's a great source to get your records from, but it's also a good source to kind of liquidate your inventory if you want to, or, trim your collection down.
And they usually give you good store credit for, or if they'll either pay outright or give you store credit for whatever.
Yep.
And that's always a good thing.
Yep. Definitely. But again, condition is the key to everything. It's got to be in decent condition. So when you're going into, say, a thrift store to pick up your music, or you're going to even a record store, definitely take a good hard look at the vinyl. And any record store, I'm not going to say thrift store because they don't do it there, but any record store worth their weight is going to have a turntable you can test it on, so you can truly listen to it and make sure the grade is where you want it to be before you buy it. If
they give you any crap about looking at it, let alone playing it, that's the kind of record store you kind of say, okay, bye-bye.
Nope. Yeah, is there ever one that looks so bad you don't even want to play it? Well, yeah. So, yeah. DC, good question. I have 2 turntables. My daily driver downstairs here is just an old realistic turntable, which belt drive, and I've got a Audio-Technica cartridge on it, which is not an expensive cartridge. That cartridge is probably $25 to $30, depending. And I've gone through a few of them. I will play anything on this. It doesn't matter. I'll clean it first, of course, but I will play anything on this and see especially if it's something rare and it looks like crap, but I might be able to, it might be something somebody wants. I will play it. Now, upstairs on my project turntable, I will not play just about anything. I'm very picky about what I play on that. Just because the cartridge is more expensive on it, I don't want to ruin a decent stylus on a crap record. So I will play most of my questionable stuff down here. But yeah, there's times when I'm not even going to touch a needle to a record because it's so bad. And that usually I'll look it up, make sure it doesn't have any real value, and then I'll just toss it. I'm not going to torment anybody else with it either. So, good
Oh,
question.
I have
What?
tons of, well, I've been collecting since I was, I was 3 when I started getting records from my mom. And I started buying stuff on my own when I was about 6. I have a lot of older things, particularly albums that are scratched up. They're
Okay.
not in the best of shape, but I would never part with them because
Well,
they're
yeah,
sentimental value.
I'm not saying they go into a craft lot. I don't just throw them in the garbage usually.
Oh, I wouldn't do that either.
You wouldn't either, yeah. Well, if they're
I
not,
couldn't do that.
yeah, but I'm
That
dealing with
would kill
multiples,
me.
buddy. They're not my mom's records. They're not, they're not something that's sentimental value to me. They're records that have come in a pile of other records that there's probably multiple copies of them. They're not worth anything. They're not worth keeping. You
Yeah,
can't save them all, as they
yeah,
say. You
right.
can't save them all. I try, but you can't save them all. Trash, but otherwise time, yeah, it would be a lot of time. And once I've got so many, once I've got so many in a craft lot, they just start going in the bins if I don't sell enough craft lots to make it worth keeping. Laura, I'm
Laura,
breaking
thank you.
Laura's heart. I'm sorry.
Thank you. But hey, I'm a big boy. I can take it. And I know she sells for craft anyway. I don't have a problem with craft sales, especially if they're non-playable. You've got to use them for something. It's better to give them up for clocks or whatever than to just chuck
Yeah,
them because they'll
yeah,
sit in a landfill forever.
true, true. I'd much
Yeah.
rather see him have a purpose. I mean, even I know people buy them just for target practice. For God's sakes, I understand that, but at least they have a purpose. But I'm not going to.
Target practice.
Yes.
Ah, my heart. Ah.
Sorry, buddy. Not they can't all be saved. The problem is, I try to give them the respect they deserve. Um, just because I love vinyl, right? I mean, I love records. So I try. It does break my little heart though when I have to get rid of something like that, or I pull something out and it's got a big crack in it. There's nothing you can do with those. You have to kind of just let them go.
Yeah,
I could get the crazy glue out and try, but I don't think it would. Yeah,
that doesn't work.
not really. Recyclable is a good question. Not to my knowledge.
Not most of them, no, because
No.
they're not really vinyl. Most of them are styrene.
Well, they're a percentage. So, and again, we'll go through the styrene versus anything. The horrible one again. I'm pulling this out. Anything that usually vinyl is pressed with the label right into it when the record is made. So this is not like you can't peel the label off if you wanted to on this one. This is a vinyl record. Styrene, on the other hand, if I can find one, and this might be one right here. Hang on. Yeah. So styrene, on the other hand, has the label adhered to it, right? So there is a definite lip and an edge to it, and you could peel this label off if you give it enough heat or moisture or whatever. Then there are also, that's styrene label, the vinyls are the other ones. And then there are also the ones that have, you'll see them like this. This is on the Amy label where these are styrene. They are printed labels. They're printed right on the vinyl. So it goes through a printing process first. And there is arguments that styrene, because of its construction and tonal density, has worse sound than a vinyl record because they're, two different materials.
I haven't really noticed a difference on the sound quality myself.
As far as grading quality, yeah, I've noticed that styrene will not hold a grade as well or as long as vinyl will. Vinyl seems to hold up better, where styrene has a tendency to age really badly.
Styrene is also, despite the fact that these people back in the day were listing on their 45s, were listing unbreakable. Styrene will break. Vinyl does not break as easily. Vinyl is softer. Styrene is more brittle. And so it has, if you break a record, chances are good it's styrene. The other way to tell is that the styrene is usually equal around the entire record on the edge. Vinyl tends to get thinner at the very edge where you're placing the needle. So that's one way to tell which one is which.
Yep. There's different ways to tell for sure. But again, when you're looking for the particular pressing, and some were pressed on styrene and some are pressed. Going back to that whole dead wax / where they were pressed.
Mm-hmm.
Some are pressed on vinyl and some are pressed on styrene to save money later in the production runs. So,
Or depending on the plant, some plants only use styrene, some plants
yep.
only use vinyl.
Yep. So if you go into Discogs, look up, I mean, it may take a little while to find one, but just grab a record in your collection and you'll see, if you go onto the page that lists all the different pressings, you'll see some may have styrene on them and some may have, different details of the location of the pressing, Indianapolis, etc. So
Indianapolis, Jacksonville, a couple of the other ones are almost exclusively styrene.
mm-hmm.
The ones that tend to be vinyl more often than not are Richmond, Virginia, and also Los Angeles and San Francisco.
Yeah.
Styrene is usually used in the smaller markets where they had large pressing plants, like Indianapolis, which actually, I don't know if they were actually in Indianapolis proper, because it was the plant owned by Columbia House, and it was that's technically in Terre Haute, which is upstate, but
Maybe
it's
that's where
hard to tell.
might have been where their home office was or something, and their actual production plant was based in another city. Yeah,
I've never been able to find that out for sure. One of these days I'll do a deep dive on it and see what I can find out.
Yeah, so some of the cheaper ones, like this One Stopper Special, the Jukebox Melody ones, those are styrene. They were just generic. They were stuffing jukeboxes, basically. This one was one of those 2 songs per side, but no divider, so it would just play right through. And again, they're just mass produced cheaply. Styrene is cheaper than vinyl, but now they're a little more, because nobody kept them or saved them or anything. Sometimes those are worth a little more money.
Yeah.
Yep. Trying to think of another. How are we doing? Buying Space. Welcome, Buying Space. Welcome. For sure.
Now, here's a question I'll just ask you, because I know you have sold these. When it comes to grading, do you have a grading for some of the oddball stuff, like a flexi disc or a kiddie record that plays at 78 or 33? Are they graded the same way? Do you grade them the same way? The cereal box discs?
Well, those you got to give a little leeway to. The flexi discs and the cereal box discs, they're never going to have the sound quality that a vinyl record has. They're just not.
No,
they just don't, because they're not constructed the same way. But you can still grade those for sound, as far as skips, ticks and pops. How much of that is volume in the record and how much of it is just background, so you can barely hear it. So I still grade those per that system, even taking into account, of course, that the actual quality of the music coming off of them is never going to be what it could be if it was vinyl. But I'll still grade them accordingly. Yep. Without a doubt. Wall hangings and art. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah, as much as we hate to admit it, some records are not savable.
Yeah. And then, of course, they have the ones that they make specifically for wall hangings, like the one behind you, that rug.
The giant rug. That's not vinyl, though. That's just a rug.
Yeah, it's a rug, but it looks real.
It looks cool. I know.
When you look at it, they've done it up so it looks like it's got the vinyl shine and everything on it.
Yep, it's very cool.
What condition is that in, Dawn?
Oh, that's VG Plus, baby.
Okay.
It depends on, if you touch it like this, it might be, you got to, with a rug, you have that, that's sweet. Don't touch it. I can touch a rug, man. Calm down. Everybody want to see TC freak out? Here we go. I'm touching the record.
Oh, no. I do that occasionally. What bothers me is the lenticularness of it.
Oh, yeah, we won't do that. Sorry, I did it anyway. So, yeah. So this one grades
Nailed on a chalkboard.
This is a G plus. Do you wonder why? It's got it sounds like that too. But then I've seen records look like this and sound damn near perfect, you know?
Yep.
So, and I think it's a lot of it is the quality of the vinyl, the depth of the groove, the whole thing. This is an older one. It's from 64. But yeah, like I said, visual grading, you really need to listen to it in order to get a feel for it. But
something else that we should point out also, because you do bring it up when you're doing it on Whatnot, is people often wonder, you and I know, but people often wonder why some 45s have a little hole in them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's not the big hole in the middle.
No, not
it's
like
it's a
a
little
drill
teeny
hole.
tiny
And I don't
hole.
think
It's
I
a
have
drill
one.
hole. And there's two reasons for that. It was either a promo, which is not likely. It was more likely a remainder. And it was sold probably for pennies on the regular price.
Right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a drill hole. So what they do, like they will basically rack jobbers, right? They'd come in, they'd pull the records, they'd send them back to the warehouse, and to get credit for them, to make sure they weren't resold and come back as a full price record, they would drill a hole in them. So they knew that this record was pulled from its rack and was no longer in circulation for a full price. So if you brought one of these back to the store, they'd be like, no.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a refund on this because you didn't pay full price for it. The same reason they take the front covers off of paperback books, or I think they did for comic books for a while too. Yeah. Is just to make sure that they know that you didn't pay full price for that record. So that's what, and they, on albums, they would either drill through them like that, or they would cut the corners on the actual album cover, or cut a slit in it where the record wasn't, of course, over on it, because you're over here somewhere. They cut a slit.
Hence the term cutout.
Cutout, exactly.
And boy, I have a lot of my collection of cutouts because they were cheap.
Well, they are too. They go into the, the 2 for $1 bin or whatever they had back then.
Back when I was a little kid, a lot of my early stuff I used to be able to get 6 45s for 99 cents in a bag of remainders. Yep. And I got some good stuff in those. Yeah. So, hey.
Yep, they did do that. And that's exactly why they did it, to make sure that they knew that you didn't pay full price for it, and that they didn't have to refund full price for it, and just to keep track of it. But yeah, so a lot of people, I'm sure, got some really good deals on records like that. But yeah, then so the LPs they would send, or the record, the 45s, they would do that. They'd pack them up in, a bundle for $1 or whatever. The LPs, they'd put a value price sticker on it and send it back to the store, and it would be like $3.99 or whatever, or $1.99, depending on the time of year it was, or the time. Records used to be a lot cheaper.
Now, of course, what they make now is no longer returnable. So whatever the record stores buy, they're stuck with. There's no returns. So that's why they're so careful. Why a lot of times when you're looking for something in particular, you're either going to have to go through the used bin, or if it's been reissued and the record store doesn't have it, they can probably order you a copy, but they may not want to keep it in stock if it doesn't sell.
That's right. Yeah, especially more obscure stuff that's not as popular. That's why I'm kind of surprised with record store days. They're buying so many copies of stuff that's just, is not going to sell. Yeah. Or I feel for them, you know what I mean? There's certain titles that have come out in the last 3 or 4 years that I'm like, why would you buy that many copies of that?
Oh, I could go on and on about that one.
Yep. So yeah, the remnants of record store days are still out there. And I don't think they make their money back on those. It's kind of sad.
They do if they sell the first, if they actually sell on record store day. And sometimes, they do keep them. And sometimes the rarer ones, the ones that only have like 1,500 copies around the world, will sell well on Discogs. But stuff like John Cassidy's Wasp, which I never understood the release of that on record store day, because I know it's Todd Rundgren produced it, but it's not that good of an album, and it didn't sell well the first time around in 1980. Yeah. And so I know stores out there that got stuck with 20 copies of this thing. And the Peppa Pig albums.
Oh,
And most of the stuff for kids is not
Oh
selling
man, don't be
because
dissing the Peppa Pig. Yeah.
you're buying kid, they're putting stuff out for kids now for record store day that they can't return. And the parents are not going to spend $36 on an album for a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old or a 7-year-old because they're just going to ruin it.
Don't hold back. How do you really feel?
I mean, well,
Well,
that's
it's
what I mean.
true. I mean, yeah, especially kids records. You find a kids record in decent shape. When you're grading records, grade some kids records and tell me what you find. They're
And
not
today,
in great shape.
and today, a kid's just more likely to go, I don't need that. I can listen to it on my phone.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. And it's true. I mean, we got kind of off the topic, but yeah, I agree. There's just so much out there now.
Yeah, grading kids' records though is a pain because you won't find very many of them in good shape at all, and those are
Mhm.
especially true of any that you find at the library or a school.
Although
They're just not going to be
some
in good shape.
libraries, if it was well, kids records again, no. If you find a kid's record in near mint shape, you got gold because none of them survived. Really, it's amazing. Yeah, it's like finding a Schwinn bike, boy's bike versus a girl's bike. The boys' bikes got beat to hell back in the day, and the girls' bikes were fine. So you find a lot more. The boys' bikes have more value because there aren't as many of them in good shape. So, but yeah, for sure, for sure. Hey, guess what we're doing on Tuesday night?
That's right. Whatnot, 7 o'clock, with the two hip chicks, Dawn and Mary, seated in the wrong order, and they'll play the record for you, and you'll actually hear the condition. And Dawn will tell you everything about it when she plays it, and the sales are always good and fun and
It
freebie.
is a lot of
Or
fun. We enjoy doing that.
unless that happens, what happened to me this week. So
Yeah. Go ahead and tell the people what
I
happened.
I won a freebie on the Whatnot show last week, and I got it in the mail on Saturday. Literally, the postman shoved it into my mailbox, which is about this big by this deep,
It's a
and it
record
was
this big, guys.
and it was
7 inches or
but
more.
it actually did not touch the picture sleeve. I don't know how it managed that,
I
but
am so in
it
awe.
was a miracle.
I mean, I try to bulletproof my mailings. I try to make sure that the records stay in one. I mail them in a flat mailer. If it's a one off, I will mail it in a flat cardboard mailer. They are not meant to be bent.
No.
Oh my god, I nearly died when that picture popped up.
I'd say 60s, 70s, and early 80s on that, D, mostly. The 50s and
50s.
50s were still halfway between 45s and 78s, and
Yeah.
by the end of the 80s, things had been changing over, and you were into CD singles and cassette singles. So there were a little less and less vinyl coming out.
Yep. So that's your golden. That's kind of like your area right there. You will find a lot of, now that people are aging out of the music from the 50s and 60s, you will find a lot of that out there. It's not worth as much as the 70s and 80s are. And although because of the nature of the beast, those records are still in fairly decent condition. You can still find fairly decent condition records. There are the one-off ones that you can never find because they're so rare. Yeah, I get that. But most of the pop hits of that era there was enough of them around, and they're all in pretty good shape because they just got taken care of better than some of the later ones did.
Yeah,
But yeah,
a lot of the ones that you've had in that 30,000 lot that were from the 50s and 60s, I have
mhm,
been absolutely amazed at the condition. They've been so well taken care of.
I know some of the Decca ones, and Decca
Yeah.
was a huge label back then, guys, huge. They put out a lot of records, and some of the Decca promos, which are very cool. They're pink. They're like very pink.
Yeah.
They're not white label promos. They're pink because the Decca label is basically black and silver or something. So you can spot those a mile away. But those are even in decent shape. So it was
Mhm.
kind of interesting, the stuff we're finding. And we haven't even scratched the surface of those records. You realize that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're still stacked up. So But yeah, we're enjoying it. Whatnot's fun. We get to play the record so you can listen to it. We pipe it directly through the sound card on the computer, so you get to hear it, especially if you put headphones on or just run it through your home sound system while you're watching. Yeah, you get a good idea of what the record sounds like, which is what I love. What decade? Oh, you already did that one. Sorry, DC. We answered that one. Hey, Dr. Pepper. You are such a cheap date.
Laura, I'll send those to you right away. Right there.
Oh my God. He is such a... Obviously, she's hard up for Dr. Pepper today. Don't do it, Laura. I have to up it to a case.
I would
right?
never take advantage of a friendship like Laura.
Of course not. Not until summer when you can actually get here.
And speaking of which, you guys need to reschedule the cookout.
I know we're waiting for the. Well, we're definitely not gonna do it this month. Ain't no way in heck. We will reschedule. Don't worry. I need to talk about that. Yeah. Yeah, really. It's a bidding war now, guys. It's a bidding war. Yeah, okay, 6-pack. Here we go. A case. There we go. We got to keep Laura loyal. It's okay. I'm not worried about it. Somebody's that hard up for records. Aw, look at the love. Look at the love.
Do you guys still have the squat round bottles? When I lived in Ohio, they're squat and round for the most part, and we're 20 ounces. These are the store ones. Those were glass too. These are plastic. So
no, I don't think we have those. Not anymore. I don't think so.
I miss those kind of bottles. They were way.
But I remember those. Yeah, those were different. I know you can still get some of the glass, the small glass ones you can still get for vending machines, but I'm not sure if you can. Where's Pepsi?
I used to own an old Coke machine that took the old bottles. I got it for like $10 at an antique store.
Oh wow!
And it worked. It was beautiful, but you had to be careful how you touched it because if it was wet, you would get shocked.
That's a wiring issue.
Yeah, it was.
Dude. How bad do you want that bottle of pop?
I didn't have it I didn't have the machine very long. We ended up selling it.
I can fix that for you.
Yeah. But it was very cool.
So what are you doing this week? And what's the word with your office and stuff?
With my stuff, I'm still coming back to life slowly after redoing my office. I have found a new camera program that's working fairly well, as you can see. But I will not be getting back up to full speed until probably next week and the week after. This week I will be doing a special out of the box show because I have so much accumulated crap from December and January, most of which comes from her. And I well, all these 45s I bought, there's 4 boxes of them, Dawn.
Dude.
And I have all that plus a few albums and stuff. I'll be doing that probably Thursday. And then the Kirkham Report, my regular show, will be back this Saturday. And then hopefully next week, all of the other stuff will start to fall into place again. And a bunch of new stuff is coming in the near future.
Good.
And that's all at TKR VideoCentral on YouTube.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you guys are watching on our channel, please go ahead and subscribe to TC. Hey, Nancy the Mouse. Welcome.
I think it's 500 before my birthday on March 15th. I'm almost there.
He's shooting for it. There you go. TC does have a lot of great music-related content that you guys need to check out, please, because he does a Daily Obscuria and many other cool shows. And if you want to find out what he bought from us, you got to subscribe. There you go. To his channel. For sure.
Not yet, no. I'm so far behind, it's scary.
That's a long list. Trust me, DC. That's a long list he's got. For sure. Well, for us, Mary and I will be on tomorrow at noon Eastern time and Thursday Eastern time. You have a lot. Look at counting his boxes.
18 boxes, all from
Dawn. Break out the turntable, buddy. Break it out. Break it out. Break out the turntable.
It's right here.
All right. We were doing that on Wednesday. We will be with Johnny for his hump day auction, which is on Johnny's Cajun Roots Reseller with a K. So please check that out. We sell 45s there too. We do a pylon thing there, which is kind of fun. And Tuesday, of course,
those are fun. Those are a lot of fun. Yeah.
We just pile them up. We start at $5 and just go crazy. And then we are doing, of course, Whatnot, which you know about. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be back with TC here. And this time it'll be on his channel because we're going to do another version of Finding Your Music Mojo, another episode. I'm not sure what you guys want to talk about this time, though.
No, go ahead and send us any ideas you have. You can leave it in the comments, or you can email me on my website, or talk to Dawn, or stop by chat. And are we debuting Estate Sale Bingo this week?
We are Thursday, yes. If you haven't come by our Chick Chat show on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we just kind of hang out and talk. Thursdays, we've been lately, for the last almost, I don't know how many months, been reviewing estate sales. And we all kind of came up with the idea of doing an estate sale bingo. So yes, we will be doing, we've got cards ready, and you can hang out with us and play. There's no prizes. Let me just say that you get the same prize. You get the same prize you get when you're first in the chat. Notoriety, but that's about it. So, but it should be fun. We hang out and talk and look at different estate sales in the area, which are usually humorous and sometimes kind of scary. So if you want to hang out with us,
no more dollhouses, please.
No more dollhouses. I know, right?
Those dollhouses are scary.
So anyway, yeah, we do that. But I just want to thank everybody for coming in. Thank you so much. Let us know what you want to talk about related to music, and we will try to get it scheduled this year for sure. And I think we're good. You got anything else to add to that, sir?
No, I think that's it. Just be sure to check out my site at TKR VideoCentral, and check out Obscuria Monday through Friday at 11.
Rockin'. There you go. Thanks everybody for coming in. Take care of yourselves. Make sure if you're in a snowy area to stay warm, and don't work too hard getting rid of the snow. And stay safe. Peace out. Bye.
Yep. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Do hip kicks.